The fact that I have now made it more difficult for people to be believed when they come forward is devastating to me.
Incredible virtue signal. You're doing a real good job, girly pop.
Me saying I wish I had said no is not me saying I wish I hadn't said yes.
What does that mean?
Daniel only describes events leading up to, between, and after what happened.
Please notice Danielle just describes all the events.
He threw a number at me. I said I could do that.
She's literally admitting that he's like, hey, I'll pay you because, you know, you're a prostitute. And then he started having sex with me. It's like, wow, yeah, that's what usually what happens. That's
now
so
I know
crazy.
to some people I could do that is verbal consent, but to me it isn't.
No. My dad has to sign off first.
But every moment he was pushing for it and I was rejecting him and I was trying to talk him out of it, that's when he was turned on.
That's the new narrative, is that like he's an actual predator threat. What do you guys think? We're doing the Naomi video. Now, you guys know she's a sugar baby, and she you know, she's got that energy. She's trying to flaunt it off, you know. So we're gonna match it. What do you think? I'm just kidding. I woke up and I'm comfy. Anyway, there's a little bit of a part two. She deleted everything. She had a complete crash out, and this is her now video. I think it's partially in response to Dan Greene. I think he should stop doing victory laps personally, because if you've followed the situation closely, here's the story. Dan Greene's a disgusting degenerate that deserves for his wife to leave him, his, you know, fiance, whatever. It seems like maybe a year or so ago, he was rizzing up this girl, right? They were both mutually friendly. 3 years, these two had a relationship where they would go back and forth. I love you, I don't love you. She would write psychotic poetry to him. He would talk to her about how much he thinks about this girl when he's with his now fiance. It's one thing to cheat, it's not good. It's another thing to talk poorly about your partner to someone else. That's like an additional level of cheating. That's just gross, you know? And so this whole thing blew up. She leveraged false accusations against him, which he definitely needs to counter, because I'm sure he lost some opportunities, which is bullshit. He doesn't deserve that. But, you know, I think it's time to move on, especially for the sake of your fiance, brother. It's time for you to move on. Let her live it down, because you know what? It's more embarrassing for her than you. So you got to knock it off. All right. Anyway, let's watch this. This should be the last of it. Let's see what this is. Proving Naomi King's malicious intent. We already knew that, bud. We already knew that.
We have received information from someone in communication with Naomi King that they are not done. Not offline, not on YouTube, and not on their other social media platforms. In a means to preemptively
That's a cute turtle.
deter Naomi King from causing more harm, we would like to share evidence proving Naomi King's malicious intent when it comes to harming myself and Kayla,
I think I already believe that.
as well as sexual assault survivors. You can see in this message here, shared by a person in direct communication with Naomi, explaining why Naomi's videos falsely accusing me of sexual assault are wrong. And in my opinion,
you described it. That's why everyone was calling him a rapist, and you making a reaction video crying for you. That's what all the supporters was about. This is why everyone was talking about survivors. Bro, it's so interesting because if you actually just watch her videos, she was wrong from the start, obviously. Like, she references the first video she made about the topic like a year ago. If you just start with that video, you're like, oh, she's a liar. The original video was like, hey, this guy lied to me and said that he wanted to be my boyfriend, and then we had sex, and then he said it didn't anymore, and she called that sexual assault. The second that anybody gives you information like that, you don't respect them or listen to them or trust them. Like, that is still wrong if that was true. But you don't listen to somebody like that. And people ate this shit up like a bunch of fucking losers.
Naomi, in response, is clearly mocking rape. The message reads as follows. You described it. That's why everyone was calling him a rapist. And everyone making reaction videos crying for you. That's what all the supportive were about. That's why everyone was talking about survivors in your comments. To which Naomi King responds with a goofy laughing emoji and then the word oops before our informant says, what do you mean oops? And Naomi says, well, we'll have to see what happens.
Whoa, so sad. Can we get F's in the chat?
I have a right to defend myself in the court of public opinion and law.
Sure.
We are sharing this evidence not just because it has to do with me, but because unfortunately there are viewers of this channel who have been victims of rape or sexual assault themselves and who are affected by Naomi King's video. And
yeah. I'm going to say something a little controversial. All right. Take it with a grain of salt. There's probably more people in this guy's audience like that because this is Book Talk. And I don't know if you guys know what Book Talk is. Book Talk is a degenerate place where mostly women get together and they read smut, really insane smut, actually diabolical smut, actually concerning smut. And they get together and they goon. And these are the types of people who will go into public with a book about a girl who meets some kind of anthropomorphic bull, and it's her job to milk him, and then they fall in love. And so we need to start understanding that that is a mental disorder. There's something going on. There's something going on. We have to understand there is something going on with you guys. There is something wrong with you guys. And it's crazy that you're allowed to read that in public, you know, but if I pull out my VR headset and I start, you know, standing up and engaging in the haptics of the situation, all of a sudden, oh, you need to go. You need to get out of here. You can't do that in a grocery store. Why? I like the cold sensation from the refrigerator against my balls. What's wrong with that?
And here you can see Naomi King making light of their experience of sexual assault and rape and mocking them. This is not
terrible.
funny. It is not funny to accuse someone
agree.
falsely of rape, and it is not funny to mock real rape victims.
True.
And I'll say once again, Naomi King and I had a consensual affair 2 years ago. Naomi King has already uploaded and deleted an apology video addressed to myself, Kayla, and to sexual assault victims.
I am so sorry to every survivor that I have hurt.
I don't know. It feels like this video didn't need to exist, but you know, okay.
Doing that.
I feel bad for this guy's fucking like future wife. That's what I'm saying. Like, stop. Like, I feel like this video wasn't necessary. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm wrong. It's just like, stop being a dead horse. You know.
That was not my intent, and it breaks my heart how many people I have hurt. This is not normal behavior. This is not okay, and I am checking myself. I am so sorry to every survivor that I have hurt in this. I am also, you know, horrifically sorry. I want to apologize to Kayla so much.
After this, she came out with another video of somebody accusing him of bad behavior. Another girl who had an affair, like I don't know if it was like a cheating on affair, but had a fling with Daniel. And she was like, yeah, and then sometimes he wants me to suck his wiener. Wow, incredible.
And Daniel, I am devastated by how many people I have hurt. I have become that person that has set survivors back. And that revolts. I am not okay with my behavior. It's really gross. I agree with your comments. And I am going to take a step back. And reflect.
Do that.
I don't like this version of me, so I'm going to put an end to this.
Before taking their Instagram to say they are going to accuse me once again. If you believe that mocking rape or making light of sexual assault is
Casual reminder that my apology was not me admitting to falsely accusing Daniel Greene, but that is literally what it is. Because you're like, oops, sorry, I falsely accused him of that. That's dismissive to people with real trauma.
not okay, you need to read this message. More soon.
All right, that was nice and quick, baby. We always love it. We love it nice and quick. That's what my wife says when she's trying to go to sleep. So it's a beautiful thing. It's a meant to beware, some would say. All right, let's listen to her, virtue signal for an hour, just for the fun of it, you know?
The fact that I have now made it more difficult for people to be believed when they come forward is devastating to me.
Incredible virtue signal. We're starting off strong, girl. You're doing a real good job, girly. You're doing a real good job, girly pop. This is what I like to call the virtuousness. The virtuousness of apologizing. Guys, I did a bad thing. I did a wrong thing. That was wrong of me. That was bad of me. But I'm a better person now. And now you can trust what I have to say. Because I'm one of them good guys. It's incredible.
That was the last thing that I wanted.
Yeah.
The last thing I would ever want.
True. So
hey guys,
true.
So this entire video was
Are you serious? Are you seriously just fucking do that? That was her. That was her intro to the video. Like she decided to make like a teaser intro to her video. That's incredible. Nothing says that you are apologetic, like making sure that you turn this video into content, right? Like there's two different things. There's one thing is to talk in a video. It's another thing to make it into content. I make content-ish, right? We react to other people's stuff, but I have an intro. That's part of the content. She just contented her supposed genuine apology to people for her disgusting behavior. Isn't that just incredible? What a beautiful thing. So beautiful.
Shot and edited before Daniel's new one. He is still trying to shut me up. Daniel is still desperately trying to silence me by smearing me before I even post another video. Let's get to
Didn't you want him to smear you like so badly that you fell in love with him and wrote poetry?
the video. I did not come forward thinking
Did she just give us a second intro? Such great intros. Hit the tower, guys. That's fucking incredible.
he had nothing. I came forward knowing he had everything, and yet I still did it. So please,
Dude, this video, we've gotten 3 perspectives in 38 seconds. I'm not even kidding. This is actually insane.
think about it logically. It makes no sense for me to falsely accuse somebody who I know has everything. It makes no logical sense. This is now apology video number 13. No matter what I do, I
Dude, this is This is insane. This unironically, this woman is going through like a crash out. The first 40 seconds of this video, or the first minute of this video, was her cycling through like 8 different perspectives. This was unironically concerning. So what the fuck? Is this the play for for her to be like, I'm basically crazy?
I can't say it right, but I am not leaving YouTube on that bullshit 3-minute apology or that interview I posted just 24 hours later. I want to begin this video with, I am not rescinding my statement that I was pressured into things that we had agreed beforehand wouldn't happen. I am not taking that back.
I don't care about that. I don't like if my wife and I are out to eat and we're having like fun and I'm like, oh, I want you to suck my pickle, and she's like, I'm not going to do that, and then we get home and she does that. You know what that's called? That's just called consent. It's called normal. Okay, and that's basically what she's talking about. They had a casual conversation earlier about not doing something, and then she's like, yeah, I changed my mind. Okay, cool stuff, man.
That last apology video was not me admitting to falsely accusing anybody. That's not what that video was for. That video was me being devastated to the survivors of the sexual assault community because
crazy.
I didn't.
But why? But like, why would you be that unless you did something wrong?
Not mean to hurt them. That was the last thing I wanted. When I made that first video, I genuinely thought that I was going to be protecting people from getting hurt. I thought I was doing a good thing. There's lots.
No, you didn't. I don't think you thought that at all. You thought that you were going to hurt this guy because you wanted him to feel the pain that you felt. You were hurt. You were scorned, woman. You were so sad. You were so sad.
Of things I'm going to try to cover here before I disappear, but I'm not leaving people with all these questions and things
You were so sad.
being left up.
Sorry.
For the people who don't want to listen to all the fluff, I'm going to get to the exact questions that people want to know. 1.
Crazy.
Are you accusing Daniel of rape? No, and I never did. There are a handful of people that understood this.
You definitely did. What the fuck you're talking about? What a silly little liar. You definitely, totally did. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But okay.
From watching the first video, but there's a lot of people that didn't. I never accused Daniel Greene of raping me. Not once. If you watch that video from beginning to end.
I don't even think that like she can make that claim. Like I don't even like I don't even think that we're at a point where she has like plausible deniability language. Like I don't even think she used enough plausible deniability language to actually support the idea that she did not claim that he did that, because I'm pretty sure that she basically did.
Even though it's not up anymore. I never once said
I think she's just relying on the fact that people haven't necessarily seen it.
Daniel Greene raped me. I never once said Daniel Greene assaulted me. I did not use those words. When I made that video, I was very, very, very careful to only ever refer to what he did to me as pressuring me into things. But I realized, because from how overrun I was with my emotions and how,
Right, she was a victim.
How much of that trauma I was reliving in that moment telling the story.
Bro, she literally enacted the assault. This supposed assault, to the point where her video got taken down. She got a strike against her channel for it. You're gonna tell us that you had like this horrific, trauma when you're fucking sitting here like enacting it? I don't believe you. No shot, dude. Get the fuck out of here.
It really, really came off as stronger than what I had been intending. Like, I did not mean for that video to be a rape accusation. I did not mean for that video to blow up and have people calling him a rapist and sending that video to the people he works.
That's exactly. You said that you said he raped you. What are you talking about?
Works with. I did not want any of that, and I did not think that any of that was going to happen. Genuinely.
Okay.
I thought his fans would be more critical of me. I thought they would not jump ship as quickly as they did. I am not accusing
No, that's exactly what you wanted. What are you talking about?
him of rape.
Guys, I said those things about him. I didn't expect people to believe me. Like, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it's their fault? I mean, they are idiots, let's be clear, but...
And I never did, but I understand that that's what was taken away from the video. And I understand that because I didn't give any fucking trigger warnings, which is stupid, because I always do that, because I didn't give anybody trigger warnings, it meant that every single survivor...
I think she did give people trigger warnings. I don't even know what she's talking about. It doesn't matter.
...who happened to click on that video was forced to relive their trauma completely without warning. And I hate myself for that, because I have...
I do too. I hate you too. So we're all on like the same page.
...been assaulted by other people. I have been raped by other people. I have severe PTSD, and
I'm gonna be like real with you. I'm so sorry. I don't think that you were, and I say that because like somebody who was assaulted would not have called the situation assault in the first place, and wouldn't have the entire like CSA community talking about how horrific and terrible you are of a person for lying. So what you're saying doesn't even like make any sense. I don't think that you were. I don't say that lightly. But like based on your circumstances, like you are a yucky little stinker. I don't believe you.
For me, if I hear somebody start to talk about a story that has anything to do with this, if I even look at a title in the news, I get horrific images of graphic sexual violence in my head, and I realize that's exactly what I force people to go through when they clicked on that video and I didn't give them a warning.
You're going to start to fake cry again?
So I can completely understand how every survivor watched that video, heard the story, saw the emotions, and didn't notice that I never called it rape. Like, and I don't want to blame people. I don't want to blame people. The only time I use that word...
That's exactly what she wants to do. She's calling you stupid for you thinking that that's what she meant.
Was when I was referring to the Tumblr allegation. I never accused him of raping me, and it breaks my heart that that's how that first video was taken, because he didn't rape me, and now I'm being a false accuser. But I never said that he raped me. But that's what was taken away from the video, and I hate that, and it's fucked up, and there's nothing that I can do. That being said, there are people out there who did notice that I never said that he raped me, and there are people out there who have messaged me and said, like, I didn't think that first video was a rape accusation.
Yeah, those are the same people that are seeing if she has some kind of NSFW Patreon, just to be clear. Okay, that's the only. That's full of shit.
And like, thank fuck for those people.
Thank fuck.
But are you accusing Daniel of rape? No, I am not, and I never did. Are you admitting to falsely accusing him of rape? No, I never said Daniel Greene raped me. What I said was that he pressured me into things. That video wasn't me coming forward about Daniel raping me. That video was me coming forward about a negative experience I had had with him, and
that you called rape.
That I had ended up.
She called it rape. I don't know what she's talking about.
Speaking to somebody who had.
She's literally crying to the guy's girlfriend, saying that like he forced her to do things. What are you talking about? Just because she deleted it doesn't mean I don't have it. We all have it. I have a whole reaction to it.
I allegedly also had a negative experience with him. That was the entire point of video number 1. It wasn't about me. It wasn't about my story. I just had to tell you that in order to get to the point of the cease and desist. That video wasn't supposed to be like, that wasn't the goal of that video. And instead it became this huge blown up rape accusation that I never.
I find this so crazy that when she makes these videos, she edits them so heavily. It's very strange to me. Like, it's from the start, these have never been, these have never been anything other than content. Like, she's always trying to make it, like, she's not just having conversations, she's rewatching it. And she's like reliving it. She's rewatching it. She's probably reveling in the destruction that she originally caused Daniel. And now it's obviously not working anymore, and, like, that's making her spiral a little bit. Oh, well, a little bit is an understatement. And that's just where I think we're at more than anything else.
Never meant it to be. So are you admitting to falsely accusing him of rape? No, because I never said that he did. And I was very careful to never say that he did. I understand that what I described sound like it, but I never said that he did. Trust me, I do not take rape accusations lightly. I hate false accusers. I hate false accusers. So the fact that,
Me when I hate myself?
I fucked this up by using the wrong goddamn words, by being too emotional in that video.
Too emotional.
Those tears were real.
That's all it was.
Those tears and that panic attack were real, and that was part of the problem. If I had told that story without getting emotional,
bro, that was the least real panic attack that I've ever seen in my life.
I think the message would have gotten across better. But
no. Okay.
Because I was telling that story for the first time in a long time, all that trauma was coming back out of me, and it was so easy to ignore the words that I used and just go off of feeling. And I fucked up. I wish I had not been crying. I am not retracting my statement that he pressured me into things that I didn't want, that we had previously agreed wouldn't happen.
You're a grown-ass woman. He pressured you into what?
Not retracting that.
Into what? Writing love poems for him and how much you loved him?
But I am also stating that I did not mean to accuse him of rape. I did not mean for that video to turn into that. I just watched Daniel's video, and there was a couple things that I wanted to address. Please notice that Daniel only describes events leading up to, between, and after what happened. It doesn't matter.
What? Okay. Daniel only describes all of the events. Please notice Daniel just describes all the events. Wow, incredible.
What history you have with somebody. In the moment, if there is no consent, there is no consent. If it is not an enthusiastic yes, it is a no.
That's just not true, just to be clear. I've fucked girls without enthusiastic yeses, and when I say that, I mean from me. I'm not always enthusiastic when I'm fucking girls, That's just a reality. It's just a reality of the situation, dude. I met up with girls, Decepticons is what I call them. You see them and you're like, damn, that's not what you look like in your picture. I still fuck them. I'm not enthusiastic about it. But you gotta see it through, my boy. You gotta see it through, my boy. That's the way I look at it. So when you say these things, that's not true. Consent doesn't have to be enthusiastic. Should it be? Like, when you're first getting with somebody, like, yeah, there should be a very explicit, yes, I want to have sex with you. This is exciting. But as you get older, it's not always enthusiastic, especially if you're in like a relationship. You don't always have to, both partners don't always have to like love the idea of doing something. It just has to be consensual. That doesn't mean that you don't enjoy it. That's just a normal adult fucking thing that happens. Okay.
I am going to try to do this in chronological order. Chronological order, Daniel mentioned that he used me as a therapist to try to get me in bed. That's not at all what I said.
That's like literally what you said.
Is not at all what I said. I just said that I was basically his therapist. That's about it. That was separate. I just kind of become people's therapists when I am their friend. I never said that he was doing that to try to get me in bed. 2, the songs that I wrote. I know people think it's a big deal that I wrote.
Yeah, you wrote love songs for the guy. You wrote love songs for the guy after saying that you were just friends. That's why it's a big deal.
Wrote songs, but it's not. I have written hundreds.
Oh, okay. If you say so. Okay, now I feel so silly because you just said no. You said it's not.
Hundreds of songs.
Wow.
Hundreds. I have released over 20 albums.
That's crazy. And who are you? It's really interesting. If I released 20 albums and I was fucking absolutely terrible at it, I would probably maybe work at a Walmart, which, by the way, is a respectable job. Okay, that's not even me criticizing Walmart employees or anything like that. I'm sorry if that is what it comes off as. I'll just go get a fucking other job, sister. Because obviously this is not for you. Making music is not for you. You're fucking horrible at it. You're actually terrible at music. Yeah, rather put like fucking needles in my ears than listen to your music. It's terrible shit. It's dog shit.
For me personally, writing 3 songs is nothing. When it comes to the people that I've actually had feelings for over
3 love songs? You write love songs for people you don't actually love? That seems like that seems wrong. That seems weird and manipulative to write a love song about somebody that you don't actually love. I think that that's really fucked up, actually. You seem like a bad person.
They get albums. Like my ex-husband got like 3 albums to himself.
Wow, that's really obsessive.
I could literally write you a song about taking a shit. For me, writing music.
I write songs about shitting too. I love that. I'll fucking poop.
Writing songs. It's just my way of getting my thoughts out. And there is one song that he did not focus on. So I wrote 3 and there was a specific order. The first one, because I can't have you, that one is very dramatic because all of my dramatic feelings needed to go into one place.
Yeah, because you were in love with the guy. Right, gotcha.
This is how I deal with my feelings, letters, writing, whatever. The second one, which is obviously the bitchy mean one, that was just me trying to get my like angry feelings out about the situation. The song he didn't focus on was the last and final one. That was my conclusion of the entire situation.
Who gives a fuck?
He did not read you the lyrics to this one, so I will. Maybe one day if we're both single, maybe then we can try us out. But not till that day when we're both single, because I can't do that to her. I know how it feels to love someone and find out that they've got another.
Wow, that's so beautiful and inspiring.
I know how it feels, so I can't put somebody else through all that torture. I know how it feels, no matter how
I didn't realize how good of a person she was. I feel like such a silly goose.
I long to let you in, I'm stronger. So this is it right here.
Wow.
He chose to gloss over that because this was the
so
third
beautiful.
and final song of the 3. This was my conclusion.
Crazy. That one really makes me feel so silly.
I know a lot of people are going to be like, you wrote songs fucking dramatic. I don't care what you think in that sense. One was mushy, one was bitchy, and one concluded the story, and that is very clear in the...
Yeah, but you said from the start that you guys were just friends, so it kind of still nays your narrative there, girl.
The third and
Girly
final
pop.
song that he chose not to focus on. All 3 of these songs were written in 2022. This was almost an entire year before the 2 of us hung out in Vegas. I had a lot of people on part 2
So you just weren't in love with him anymore? That's why you hung out with him?
saying things like, you know, if you were really that high, how do you remember these moments? If you were really traumatized, then why do you remember like those specific
Nobody said that. She's making things up.
moments so well? And the answer is, how could I forget? The moments he was taking from me what I didn't want to give
You guys were both high. Shut the fuck up.
are the moments that have been burned into the back of my mind. Those are the moments that have just been ingrained in my fucking
Wait, but you're saying that he raped you right here. You just said that he didn't rape you, and now you're explicitly saying that he raped you. What?
skull. Forget. The moments he was taking from me what I didn't want to give.
You just said that's rape, just to be clear. There's a difference between, like, no, whatever. I don't even know why I'm analyzing this anymore. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, obviously she knows she's lying. This is just a revisionist history. There's no reason to give it that much thought.
Are the moments that have been burned into the back of my mind. Those are the moments that have just been ingrained in my fucking skull. So what happened between those events is a blur. Like, night 1, I remember I told you that I was like super groggy, half asleep. I got up and let him in my jumper. He commented on how high I was. I gave him half an edible and then I got back in bed. That is what I remember, like, distinctly. He claims I met him in the lobby, which I have zero recollection of. Like, honestly, I have zero recollection of going down to the lobby.
I like this because she could just say that didn't happen. She could just say that it didn't happen, but she doesn't. She's not going to do that. The narrative is that even if it did happen, I was so fucked up and that I don't remember it, and that's his fault because he should have been able to identify that, and that's why it was rape. But it's not rape, guys. It's not rape, but it was rape. That's the insinuation here. That's what she's trying to say.
But You know, now that I'm thinking about it, logically speaking, I think I would have had to have gone down to the lobby. So now, obviously, now I'm just fucking up my own case because the bits between what he did are a blur. He swears that I looked sober. I don't know how that would have even been physically possible, considering I had been eating 40 milligrams every couple of hours.
She showed that she said that she had 20 milligrams in like one of the messages that she said, and so it's just like it's a contradiction, but okay.
The entire day, and had just been asleep. So like physically speaking, there was no way I even could have looked sober because my eyes would have been red, my face would have been all smushed up from being in a pillow. Like there is no physical way I could have looked sober. I honestly don't remember going down to the lobby. I know some people don't count being able to, you know, get up and walk as half asleep. I do. And I know like some people, when they hear half asleep, they mean like so incapacitated that you can't get up. That's not, for me, that's not half asleep. For me, that's so incapacitated that you can't get up. When I said that I was half asleep, I mean that I was groggy. I could still talk a little bit, but I wasn't like sober. I wasn't awake. I wasn't there. Clearly, I was groggy enough that I don't remember leaving the room. But logically speaking, I think I would have had to let him up. I don't remember that. I can honestly tell you I don't remember that. And I didn't lie about that, or at least I didn't mean to.
Logically
because I don't
speaking.
remember. He commented on how high I looked. That part is not a lie. And that was why I asked him if he wanted to catch up. That is why he bit half an edible. I've had people question.
Yeah. So just to be clear, they were meeting up to have sex. They were meeting up to be in a hotel together alone with that while he was cheating on his girlfriend so that they could inevitably have sex with each other. That's what they were meeting up for. So
about the edibles, the drugs, and the numbers that I keep saying. Because I think the numbers either range from I was on 40 and he was sober, or I'll say that I was on 50 and he was on 10. The reason I consistently say 40 milligrams is because the edibles that I bought upon arriving, they were 20 milligrams each. So I was taking 40 milligrams every couple of hours. I think my first dose was around. And then like every 2 hours, I would take another 40 milligrams so that I could kind of consistently stay on the vibe of 40 milligrams. Obviously, over time, that stuff will build, but it also kind of, you know, goes out of your system. So at least in my mind, I was trying to take 40 milligrams consistently throughout the day. Daniel claims he didn't know that. I don't know how the fuck he wouldn't. He ate half an edible.
I don't care.
Which was the 10 milligrams. I ate the other half, which is another 10 milligrams. But it takes about an hour for that stuff to kick in. So that's why sometimes I say that I was on 40 and he was sober, because they hadn't kicked in yet. But if you include the edible that we shared upon him arriving, then I would have been on 50 and he would have been on 10.
Wow.
But that didn't kick in yet. So that's why
this is really good girl math. I like it a lot.
that number keeps getting confusing. So I went to bed at maybe like 8-ish. Again, high as fuck. Tired as fuck. I got maybe 2 hours of sleep and then I had to wake up to let him in. So I guess logically speaking, I did have to go down to the lobby, but I don't.
She's really one of the key signs that somebody's lying is how much they're willing to over-explain a situation. And this is just over-explanation after over-explanation. Oh, wait a minute. You know, I said that he just got into the room, but I guess I would have had to. Logically, this makes it logic. I don't think anybody really cares about that logic. Nobody was focusing on the logic of, wait a minute, she would have had to get him because the logic of everything else is so off.
I don't remember it, like, honestly, but I think I would have had to. Either way.
Oh my goodness, I'm coming to this realization, guys.
High as fuck.
Oh, it was so
the parts
high.
that are ingrained in my mind are the parts that I didn't want. Like, that is what I remember from my 3 days there. Like, on day 2, I was with my tattoo artist for like 6 hours.
Wow.
And still, that part of the day is just a blur to me. The part that
That's
I remember,
crazy.
the part that's distinct in my brain
so
from day
wild.
2 was the moment he started pressuring me again.
Crazy.
Leading up until the moment that he came again.
Why are you snapping? Is this fucking slam poetry? What's happening here?
Like, that is what is ingrained in my mind. That is why I can tell you exactly what happened on night 1 during when he was doing that, and day 2 during when he was doing that. Like, the moments between, I remember, but now I feel like in the blur, there's some moments that, like, were garbled. And, like, for me, this just solidifies how high and groggy I was in my memory. I know for some people, hearing that is now like, oh, you were sober enough to get up. But I'm kind of like, I wasn't sober enough to fucking remember. And I know that, like, the setup...
She's really going on, like, with this talking point. Why are you beating a dead horse here?
And the history and all that. But the reality about consent is, like, it doesn't matter what history you have. If, in the moment, you are not obtaining consent, you do not have consent.
I mean, I really just wouldn't listen to false accusers talk about stuff like this, so...
Like, I remember getting back in bed and dozing off. I remember him climbing into bed.
Wait, you remember getting back? Okay, gotcha.
And he went from being in friend mode to having that predatory look in his eyes.
Bro, you guys were in love. Shut up.
I remember in bed. The energy.
Predatory look in his eyes. She's going on about how she... Wait. Guys, I did not accuse that he assaulted me. But I remember when he was getting into bed and he had that predatory look in his eyes. That's fucking... She's crazy, dude. This is insane. I mean, I guess that's what Daniel gets for fucking around with a crazy woman, but...
That was just coming off of him in waves. That was why I
Coming
turned
off
away
of
from
him,
him, and
guys.
that was why I put my arm between us to try to create a barrier.
Wow,
I remember
that's
he was
crazy.
saying things like, come on, we came all this way, can we at least try something? You know, what's the
Wow.
difference between this and you being with your partner? Because I kept telling
Whoa.
him, like, dude, you're in a relationship, you're in a relationship.
Yeah, I definitely believe that.
He kept bringing up the fact that, you know, my sugar daddy at that time was attached. He just kept bringing that up, and I remember I kept trying to explain to him that I know other people don't see the situation as different, but I do. Because, like, Senor married man, he was a sugar daddy that paid to be on that website.
Why
It cost like
didn't I this?
$100, if not more, for a guy to be on that website. He's nearing 50. He was messaging multiple sugar babies. If it wasn't me, it was going to be somebody else.
I believe that part. Probably that makes sense to me. But you're still a yucky little fart.
Was in a loveless marriage. His wife hadn't touched him in over a decade. He had been cheating for 15 years, and his first affair lasted 10 years.
Wow,
At home, he
that's
didn't get
crazy.
love or kisses or cuddles or sex. He did tell
Why the fuck do I care about any of this? And also, you wrote Daniel love poetry.
me he was separated when we met, but I did figure out he was not as separated as he said he was a couple months later. And I will hold myself accountable for the fact that I did
Wow.
continue to see him for a couple months after I found out. But yeah, Daniel
Crazy.
knew that the person I was seeing was attached, and he kept using that. He kept saying, like, oh, what's the difference? You're already
What?
seeing somebody that's in a relationship. Like, how is this any different? How is this any different? Like, come on, let's just try. We traveled all this way. And I explained to Daniel it was completely different because you're only 2 years into your relationship, and you do have love, and your partner does kiss you and cuddle you and fuck you. Like,
Well, I'm not understanding. Like, what are we supposed to think about this? That like, I don't understand. Like, what is our thoughts supposed to be about this guy you're cheating with? I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand what's happening right now.
it's different. You're young. You
What are the feelings we're supposed to have?
just entered your relationship. I traveled all this way. Why can't we try something? Can we just like try a little bit? Can we try just like the tip? So I turned onto my stomach to turn away from him, putting an arm between us to create a barrier, to try to talk about things, to try to maybe be a part of the conversation,
Yeah.
because he was really pushing.
This all makes so much perfect sense. You met up with a guy that was in a relationship in a hotel in a new state to not have sex with him. Actually makes a lot of sense.
For like an arrangement.
That makes
I decided to switch over to sugar
so
baby
much
mode, and I was like, if
sense.
this man wants to talk about an arrangement, I'm going to interview him the way that I interview people. I have certain requirements right off the get-go, and if you don't meet them, it's a hard no. I was going to ask him those questions and then give him a hard no because he didn't qualify. My first requirement is that you have to live in Vancouver. You have to live in Vancouver. I don't do long distance or like casual or like I'm occasionally going to see you. You have to live in Vancouver. I don't even
What you? Yeah, I mean, even, what are you talking about? You thought that you were you thought that he was gonna leave his fucking girl for you. What are you talking about?
date people from Seattle. I don't even date people from Whistler.
Wow, that is so cool.
If you're not in Vancouver,
Tell
it's a
me
no.
more,
So that
please.
was the first question that you would have failed. The second thing is,
Please tell
I
me
do
more.
not do casual or short-term arrangements.
So true,
I do not
Queen.
do one-off.
So
For
true,
me,
so
I
true, so
only
true.
do stable, long-term arrangements where I'm going to see the person at least twice a month.
Yeah, I believe that from a sugar baby for sure.
That is another
I believe that.
point he would have failed. But here's the thing. I didn't even get to ask a question. I turned
Wow.
away from him. I put my arm in between us to create a barrier. I told him I had questions to ask him. He threw a number at me. I said I could do that, expecting more of a conversation.
She's literally admitting that he's like, "Hey, I'll pay you to fuck because you know you're a prostitute." That's what a sugar baby is. She's a prostitute. And then she's like, and then he started having sex with me. It's like, wow, yeah, that's what usually happens after you somebody pays to have sex with you.
And then he pushed me over and put his tongue in my mouth.
That's
now
so
I know
crazy.
to some people I could do that is verbal consent, but to me it isn't. To
This is amazing. I notice some people when I say, "Yeah, let's do this together," that means that I want to do this together. But to me, no. We negotiated a price, and he's like, "All right, let's get going." No. You have to talk to my dad first. My dad has to sign off first. What are you talking about? Why do you think this makes you look good? You sounds like an idiot.
To me, it is not. Could as a
Okay.
maybe. Could as a possibly. Like, imagine if you were walking through the woods with a friend and you saw this cliff overlooking the water and you were like, you want to jump into the water? And if your friend was like, I mean, I could do that, would you push them off the cliff? Would
What are you talking about?
you push them off the cliff? Or is, I could do that. Is that a maybe? Is that a possibly? That's not a yes. I could
fuck?
do that is not a yes. I wouldn't push them off the
What are you talking about? We're not talking about pushing someone off a cliff. We're talking about having sex with a dude that you met up with to have sex with. What are you talking about?
fucking cliff. He pushed me over and shoved his tongue in my
Fucking
mouth.
cliff.
I didn't even get to ask him one question when I had established to him that I had questions to ask. Maybe there's people out there who think it isn't traumatizing to have one of your best friends repeatedly try to stick their penis in you while you're actively
Yeah, well, again, we've established that you were there to sleep with him. So
pushing him away, actively pushing his dick away from between your legs, saying
so
on
sad.
repeat, I'm not having sex without lube, I'm not having sex without lube, I'm not having sex without lube, I'm not having sex without lube. What part of that sounds consensual? And it doesn't matter what history you have with somebody. History with somebody in the past does not equate consent in the present or future. Consent is something that you need at all times. I do not see how people think that was consensual. That is not how consent works. If I had looked at him, if I had still been facing him, if my body language had still been open to him, if I had looked him dead in the eyes and said, I could do that, let's do this, it would have been different. That would be different.
You negotiated a price, and then you started to fuck. What are you talking about? What?
But that's not what happened. What happened was I wasn't looking at him. I was facing away from him. I had a barrier between us. I wanted to ask him questions. I told him I wanted to ask him questions. He threw a number at me and then pushed me over and shoved his tongue in my mouth.
That's so sad. That's so sad.
And I need you to remember, he promised me that he wanted to give me that money as a friend. He promised me beforehand
You just said that you negotiated a price to have sex with him. What are you talking about?
he was going to spoil me as a friend. He didn't pay me for sex. He did not pay me for sexual things.
You just said that he did. You literally just said that he did. What are you talking about?
He promised that money was as friends, and then he took advantage of the situation. I didn't want it, and I tried to talk
What? What? Dude, she's all over the place. It's incredible.
him out of it. It didn't start because we leaned in for a kiss. It didn't start by sexy looks and gentle touching. It started because he pushed me over, shoved. That stuff will build, but it also kind
that was not what I wanted to do.
of tried to talk him out of it. It didn't start because we leaned in for a kiss. It didn't start by sexy looks
It started with a whisper.
and gentle touching. It started because he pushed me over, shoved his tongue in
It started because we negotiated a price, and I said, okay, let's do it. I should have never negotiated the price. What are you talking about? What the hell is this woman on about?
my mouth and climbed on top of me. That's not consent. Everything
Okay.
he did was just like him doing it, and it was all very quick.
That's
and then he tried
crazy.
sticking it in me, and because I kept shoving his dick away from
Did you fart? What?
me. And then he came, and then I yelled at him to bring me a towel, and then I wiped his cum off, and I passed out.
Crazy.
The following morning, he told me he had been puking and crying all night, promised me it was never going to happen again. We went for breakfast at Truth and Tonic in the Venetian Hotel. I remember it took us forever to fucking find.
That's what I usually do after I get raped by somebody. I go out to like a nice breakfast with them. To be honest with you, that's a little insensitive because I'm sure that there are people who like end up having like a really traumatizing assault story, and they still like afterwards they don't realize what happened to them, and they probably do potentially still have like a friendly encounter afterwards. So like me saying that's a little insensitive. So I'm sorry for that. But given her circumstances, she's lying, right? We already know she's lying. So
Find it. God, that place is a maze. And I remember at breakfast, over breakfast, we discussed it again, and he promised me again that it was never going to happen. We walked around.
yeah, again, but she's trying to insinuate that what he said was never going to happen was the rape that she insists she didn't claim he did. Weird. When he says it's never going to happen, he's talking about like how he's never going to like cheat on his girlfriend again. That's what he's talking about in that scenario. So
Afterwards for a little bit, and I think he had to go get his medication. So he mentioned that I mentioned lube, because as I mentioned before, I'm not having sex without lube, I'm not having sex without lube, I'm not having sex without lube. In order for me to enjoy anything remotely sexual, I need lube because of my medical conditions. I have
Okay.
idiopathic hypogonadotropic hypogonadism, and that makes any
or she's just smokes a lot of weed. I think that's more of what it is. She just smokes weed, and so like she doesn't get as wet because that's something that happens when you smoke weed.
kind of vaginal anything, it can be quite painful. I cannot
Okay.
self-lubricate, I cannot stretch. So I think this was the part of the timeline that was confusing to me. I think it was after breakfast,
hell is this
on the
thing?
way back to the hotel, because we did walk around a little bit. On the way back, I did look up somewhere to buy lube, because in my mind, I was kind of like, all right, well, fuck. He's already done to me once what I didn't want. Like, that night was non-consensual. And my trauma response, because unfortunately for me, my trauma
Yeah, that night where they negotiated a price was non-consensual, guys. So I got lube just in case he non-consensually did that to me again. And also, by the way, I'm going to hang out with him again. And then all these things make so much sense to me.
responses are not fight or flight, but freeze and fawn, right?
Yeah.
During the night, I froze. Trust me, I wish I was a fighter. The following day, there was a part of me that did desperately want to reclaim what he had done. This has happened to me before, and I know people who have done this. Sometimes when you go through something traumatic, there is a part of you that will try to reclaim that moment, that will try to be like, okay, maybe if I get the things it would take for me to actually be able to enjoy any kind of
Wow, beautiful.
intimacy or sexual act. You know, maybe if we get the things it would take, maybe I can be a part of this conversation. Maybe this can be an equal exchange. Maybe I could enjoy this. So I was looking at places to, you know, maybe be able to find something. But we did discuss the fact that nothing was going to happen, and that's why we didn't go get anything. I'm not denying the fact that in order for me to enjoy anything, I need lube. I am not rescinding the fact that what he did the night he arrived, I didn't want, and I tried to talk him out of. The following day, in the message exchange that I showed you the other day that a lot of people were confused about, that message exchange was from after our trip to Vegas. These messages were from the 24th, but we were talking about what had happened. In that text exchange, there are messages where I was saying he was the only one ever allowed to express lust. If I ever gave back the energy he was giving me, he never liked it. And this played out in Vegas. The night he got there, he was pressuring me into things, and I didn't want it. Pushed me over, shoved his tongue in my mouth. I repeatedly rejected his attempts for sex. I did.
Well, those words are you saying like he's allowed to express his lust, but why can't she expressed it to him? That was what she was saying there.
Not want that. The next morning we agreed it wasn't going to happen, and it was fucking terrible, and we were just friends. It was something I looked at. It was something I glanced at because I was trying to reclaim, but because he promised me it was never going to happen again, and he promised me that we were just friends, it was kind of like, okay, cool, sick. We never went in the direction of the shop. So like first thing in the morning at breakfast, and when we were walking around, he agreed that we were just friends, and that was something we explicitly agreed. And then we went back to the hotel, and I went to the pool, and he stayed in the room. He denies staying in the room. He did stay in the room for like at least an hour, maybe more, because I remember sitting by the pool and thinking to myself, like, damn, wow, he's been in there a while. He told me that he was like doing work or something, like he was talking to somebody on the phone or having a meeting. When he eventually came down to the pool, we hung out by the pool, and everything was fine, and everything was just as friends. And then when we went back up so I could change to go to my appointment, he went back on his word. He went from promising me it was never going to happen and making me feel safe and making me feel like he was telling the truth and, you know, rejecting me suggesting getting something in which maybe it could be enjoyable. And then as soon as we were alone again, he went back on that.
Yeah. I wonder, that's a good point. I wonder if this is going to hurt her ability to get a new sugar daddy. Because if I was somebody who engaged in like sugar babies, I'm going to be real with you. I probably wouldn't want to go with the crazy one that is falsely accusing people of assault. It's getting proven to be a false accusation and then continues to double down. Like, because I can imagine that would happen to me if I ever decided to hire her or whatever the vernacular is that you use.
And I was like, we just talked about this. We just talked about this. Also, like, you rejected me getting, like, the thing it would take for this experience to not suck for me. We just said in the morning over breakfast when we were walking around, but as soon as we got to that room, that switch happened, that look in his eyes. He went from being my friend to being someone who wanted to fucking come all over me. And I remember repeatedly trying to talk him out of it. And at that point, he was saying, well, what's the difference? We already did it once. What's the difference? What's the difference? He promised me it wasn't going to happen. Like, obviously, it was terrible the first time. It was terrible the second time. But there was almost like this added thing of, like, when I was suggesting things, it was always a no. But whenever I was saying no, he was always pushing for it. And this was a recurring theme. You'll notice in that message, I say, you know, it seems only you are allowed to express any kind of lust. When I do it because you've been doing it, you never like it. And that never is important. He never liked it if I gave back the energy he was giving me. Never. Anytime he was giving me that energy, if I ever reciprocated, I could tell he was instantly less turned on. And that played out in Vegas. Whenever he was pushing me for it, whenever I was rejecting him, that was when he wanted it. That was when he would take what he wanted. That was when he was using his excuses and pulling things out of his ass to try to talk me into things. He kept saying, what's the difference, what's the difference, what's the difference? I had an appointment to get to. I didn't want what he did. If you knew we were going to do this again, could you at least have let me be a part of the conversation? Let me go get the thing to actually make this okay? But instead, he always did it when I didn't want it. We're already here in Vegas. We might as well do it. We already did it once. We did.
This is so fucking boring.
Do it once. He did it once. I had somewhere to fucking be, and he wasn't going to leave it alone. That look in his eye.
Like she's just crafting a new narrative around what happened in like this just weird obsessive way. That's all this is.
I knew. I went into that room expecting to change and go get tattooed, and instead I walked into that room and one of my best friends immediately went back on his word. His word that he'd been swearing for hours at this point. Only he was ever allowed to express lust. Only he was. If I ever...
That's a weird recharacterization of what she meant. What she meant was that like only he was allowed to talk, like initiate sexual conversation, and she wanted to be able to do that, but he would knock her down when she would do it. That's what she was talking about. But now it's like, oh, only he was allowed to, like, this doesn't even make sense. The labeling that, oh, only he was allowed to express lust, but only in the context. This doesn't even make sense. I can't even rationalize this because her argument makes absolutely no sense at all. It's just a weird reframing of what actually happened. Like she was upset that she was not able to express lust the way that he was, because he would probably shoot her down, because he would feel guilt outside of outside of his spells of horniness. And then it upset her. That's literally it. And now she's trying to make it seem like actually like I wasn't horny, but I don't even know. The rationale doesn't even make sense. I can't even like explain to you what she's trying to say, because it makes no sense.
Ver gave it back. He didn't like it. And that tells you everything you need to know about what happened in Vegas. But every moment he was pushing for it and I was rejecting him and I was trying to talk him out of it, that's when he was turned on. I wanted to reclaim what had happened, but he didn't.
He was only turned on when I kept saying no. Do you hear the language she's using? She explicitly says in the beginning that she never accused this guy of assaulting her, and now what she's saying is that he was only into it if she would say no. That's the new narrative, is that like he's an actual predator threat. That's her narrative here. Like that's insane what she's saying.
Didn't let me. And then when we were alone, he redid what he had done the night before. All over again. I don't care what anybody says about the part of me looking into a place where I could maybe buy lube. I don't care what anybody has to say about that. That was my trauma response. That was me trying to reclaim what he had already taken. But again, we agreed we shouldn't.
So interesting that we can weaponize like words. We can weaponize real things from people who have like actual traumas, and as an excuse, like it was my trauma response. Like that's a real thing. You did not have a trauma response. You didn't buy lube as a trauma response. You bought lube because you wanted to get fucked by this guy that you've been in love with for years.
We agreed we were just friends, only to have him go back on that as soon as we were alone. Come on, what's the difference? We already did it once. We're already here in Vegas. Come on, I'll be quick. We'll just do it quickly, and then we'll go for your appointment. He was referring to the fact that he already jerked off onto me once. That was what he wanted to do again.
Well,
Daniel created the perfect situation in which he could take advantage of me. He said he wanted to take me on a friend trip and spoil me, and he promised it was a friend trip, only to turn that around and use it on me later. And
yeah, we're all buying that you guys went on just a little friend visit to Las Vegas in an apartment room where, or in a hotel where you slept naked waiting for him to arrive from his flight. That makes perfect sense.
I feel like that was part of his plan. You know, the second you tell someone, oh, like he gave money, they're like, oh, okay, well, it's consent.
Well, you didn't just say he gave money. You said that you negotiated a price and said yes. So.
That's not how consent works.
Okay.
In regards to the sugar babying thing, the way everybody approaches it is different. I am the kind of person that only ever has one arrangement going on at a time. There are some people who have.
Oh, okay. This new hidden rule that she's lying about. Now it makes sense. Guys, I couldn't have wanted to have sex with him because I already had another sugar daddy. No one believes that.
Multiple sugar daddies. I only ever go one at a time because I'm an introvert and I dislike most people, and it's very hard for me to find people that I actually enjoy spending time with. The internet seems to have decided that the second you pay someone, you can do whatever you want to them. That is not true, because first of all, he told me he was going to give me that money as a friend, so it doesn't even count.
You just said that you negotiated a price. What?
Second of all, consent can be retracted at any time. Anytime. And just because you consent to one thing doesn't mean you consent to another. Consent is something that you need throughout.
I love getting educated about consent from somebody who falsely accuses people of raping them. My favorite thing in the world.
Throughout, and money does not change that. And even in this situation, the money doesn't count because he promised me he was giving it to me as a friend.
Whoa.
So you have to take the money out of the equation.
Or
friend. You have to look at it in a sense of he purposefully lured Naomi on this friend holiday and then use that against them later on. He didn't.
He's a predator. You see this over and over again. All this language, like she's telling us that he's a predator. Like that's her argument. This is actually like vile, disgusting behavior from her.
Pay me for sex. It doesn't matter that I'm a sugar baby. If we had gone and bought lube, I might have consented. I might have. And I'm not afraid to admit that. But without it, sexual encounters suck for me. Like, suck. If we had gone and bought lube, it might have been consensual the second time. But it wasn't. He took from me what I did not want to give, and I tried to reclaim that, and he didn't let me. And then he took again what I did not want to give, knowing damn well I didn't want to do it, and that we had just promised for hours on end that it wouldn't happen. That's not consensual. Coerced consent is not consent. Okay. I tried to talk him out of it, but eventually I just fucking gave up. He whipped his dick out, and I remember vividly when he pushed me to my knees and shoved his dick in my mouth.
Wow.
And I remember my mouth was so dry, his dick felt like a rolled up carpet. And I can honestly...
I feel so bad for him, man. That probably felt terrible.
Honestly tell you, my mouth was so dry, I couldn't have sucked a dick even if I wanted to. I could not have sucked a dick even if I wanted to. But his dick was only in my mouth for about 5 seconds.
You sound like a horrible sugar baby, to be honest with you. What a fucking pain in the ass.
Before he pulled me up onto the bed.
That's why I gotta pick a fat bitch. Fat bitches are always wet as fuck, dude.
Laid his money on me that he promised was just his friends.
And that's all facts, boy.
And then jerked off onto me. He seems to think that he's all high and mighty because he didn't want to cross that line when it comes to like sex. He's acting all high and mighty that he didn't cross that line without telling you that he was pressuring me for it. And even if you take penetration out of it, the fucker jerked off onto me twice. And both times I tried to talk him out of.
Whoa,
it doesn't matter what
crazy.
history we had. Consent is something you need consistently.
Oh,
Any
my
moment
Lord, it just
I
keeps
wasn't
going.
rejecting him, he was no longer interested. He never liked it. And that tells you everything you need to know about the 2 times that it did happen.
Okay.
And that's why I was in such like a daze that I forgot to bring my food offering to the appointment. Because when you do batok, you need to bring food offerings for your ancestors. And I had mine and he was in the room. But because of what he did, I was in such a daze that I forgot it. And I had to end up ordering pizza for my ancestors. And they didn't fucking like it. I didn't fucking want it. And I had a fucking tattoo.
You sound like a lazy asshole, huh? Not even respecting your ancestors. Also, why wouldn't your ancestors want pizza? What are you talking about? It makes no fucking sense to me.
Appointment to get to, but I didn't fight him off. He came on me, wiped it off, got changed, and went and got tattooed. Night 1 and day 2,
Oh,
I didn't fucking want it.
crazy work.
And I had established that multiple times. Day 3 for me, or day 2 for him, after I got tattooed on night 2, I had been crying and shaking and going into shock. And I was in so much pain that I feel like it kind of turned him off. One of my friends said,
Wait, why wouldn't it turn him on, though? Wouldn't that turn him on? Aren't you going on about how much of a predator he is? Wouldn't that like make his penis hard?
he clearly dehumanizes the people he wants to have sex with,
Okay.
and that makes it easy to ignore consent. I think him seeing me go into shock, crying and shaking, humanized me.
Yeah, usually sexual predators, when people start crying and saying, no, I don't like this, they're like, oh man, I should probably stop. I should probably stop now. Damn, that's a little crazy, girl. That's wild. I didn't realize that this was something you didn't want because I'm raping you. I gotta stop using that word. So, like that. But you understand my point, yes? Like you understand the point that none of this makes any sense. He's this meticulous, violent sexual predator who gets off when people tell him no. But then when you start getting upset, he's gonna be like, oh man, this is turning me off. That makes no sense at all.
That night, nothing happened because I was in so much pain and I passed out and I just, we needed rest. Thank fuck. The following day, we went to the art gallery. Now, the following day, I was still in a lot of pain from the tattoo. Like, my entire back was on fire. I realize now that what I went through to some people is an insult. I stand by everything I have said.
So now she was assaulted, but she understands that, like, it's not as bad as other people. That's what she's saying right now.
I just do not stand by the way I said them and the order in which I said it. Like, that was all bullshit, and I realize that now. And I did it all wrong. And that has completely fucked not only my case, but every fucking survivor that I've let down, and I'm disgusted by that. But I'm gonna try to just get this concise. I sent those videos because I'm a crazy person, and this is how I deal with my feelings. I sent those videos because I was genuinely distraught. In those videos, I say, I wish I had said no. I never know how to say no. That doesn't mean he didn't push me over and stick his tongue in my mouth. At no point has he told you that I looked at him and was like, yes, let's do this. Me admitting to saying, I wish I had said no, I never know how to say no, that's not me admitting to consenting. I don't see how people see it that way. I feel so fucking guilty because of what I did. I stand by that. That is not me admitting to it being consensual. The only thing I admit here is that I A, feel guilty, and that I B, wish that I had said no. Like, this is in regards to the fact that he pushed me over and shoved his tongue in my mouth, and I didn't fight him off. I never consented. I felt like shit. I felt guilty as hell. Like, yeah, I seem a little unhinged sending these crying videos, but I didn't admit to it being consensual, at least not in that clip. I'll keep watching. So he's saying, I've now learned from their
She's reacting to her own video now?
Saturday video, they gave me 20 while telling me it was 10. I did not give him 20. The edible was 20. He bit half of it, so he had 10. And then I ate the other half. So it was either 40 for me, 0 for him, or if you count the one that we shared, that didn't kick in by the time he did what he did, it would have been 50 and 10. Okay, so my message history with Kayla. This part I do genuinely feel bad about because I worded that fucking terribly. Can I just say, that first video of mine was worded terribly. I'm going to get to it because I'm trying to go timeline-wise. And definitely the way I worded my exchange with Kayla was not cool. And it definitely sold the wrong idea. So, like, that was an honest mistake. I didn't mean to make it sound like I had messaged her immediately after. I didn't tell her that I was assaulted, but I did tell her that I didn't want it, like, repeatedly. I have always made a point to be careful.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine why somebody who just engaged in cheating on somebody would be like, no, I did not actually want it. Because you're lying. We already know you're lying through your text messages, and like you're obviously lying there to try to make it so that she doesn't hate you for some reason, even though you were just like the person who fucking engaged in cheating. But okay.
To not use the word assault or rape when talking about this, apart from that one video that I was keeping vague. And I'll get to that later because of timeline stuff. So yeah, the message exchange, the way I worded that, it was all wrong. And I genuinely never meant for her to get harassment. Like, that was not my intent at all. And that's fucked up. I feel like of all the people in this situation, Kayla needs to be left the fuck alone.
Wow, you're such a virtuous person. You're causing the harassment onto Kayla, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Should have left her alone years ago, and I feel terrible about that. But please, everybody, not her. I did not mean it.
Nobody's harassing her, for one, at this point. And also, this is just like an attempt for her to feel morally like righteous. Like, oh, guys, do not harass her, please.
All for that part to come off like she was insulting me for being assaulted. That is not at all what I meant.
Well, you weren't assaulted, so.
My wording was awful, and I apologize.
No insult given, girly.
Okay, so after Vegas, we were still like in contact. We were still friends after it happened. Because here's the thing, with my trauma, no matter what he did to me in
With my trauma, I'm a trauma. Hi guys, did you know I'm traumatized? Guys, my trauma.
Vegas, no matter what he pressured me into, no matter what I tried to talk him out of, he was at the end of the day still one of my closest friends. And what he did was fucked up, but I still cared about him as a person. So I was trying to leave her out of it. But then when I found out that all of the dirt had come to light, I needed her to know that I didn't want it. I had not wanted it. And me crying and saying, I wish I had said no, I never know how to say no, that is not me admitting to it being consensual. He pushed me over and stuck his tongue in my mouth. I was halfway through a sentence. Like, a lot of people seem to think that me not saying no was me giving consent, and that is not true.
I don't think a single person made that argument at all. I think everybody was like, hey, you're clearly in love with this guy and you met up with him to have sex. That's crazy. No, you don't understand. We bargained a price, and then I said okay, and then he started having sex with me. That's rape. Oh, okay, cool.
A lot of people seem to think that me saying I could do that halfway through a sentence is consent, but that is not true. Could is a maybe. Could is a possibly. That is not me admitting to it being consensual. But I understand that for some people, what I went through was an insult to call traumatic. Anyway, I'm going to try to get...
Well, because it wasn't traumatic. You wanted to have sex with a guy, and you did.
Back on track. Where the fuck are we? Right, the crying videos. Okay. So our last day hanging out was the 22nd. That message exchange that people seem to think was from when we were in Vegas was from the 24th. Everything officially ended on the 28th. I ruminated for a couple of days, and then my whiny ass made those crying videos. Because there was like 3 years of history, and I needed to at least get my thoughts out and have some kind of like a final conclusion. I know people think this is weird, but this is how I work. The one I sent to Kayla was way shorter. I apologized for hurting her. Of course I felt guilty. I felt terrible. But it doesn't mean I consented to it. I didn't want it, and I told her that in that video.
I love how she says that he didn't rape her, and then now she's just going on about how he raped her. It's fucking incredible.
I didn't want it. I didn't enjoy it. I regretted it. I wished it had never happened. I do not see how that is me admitting to it being consensual. So I made my fucking crying videos. I held on to them for like a week because I was debating whether or not to be a crazy person and actually send the links. But I needed to apologize to her because I felt fucking terrible. And I needed to get my final thoughts out to him because I felt fucking used and violated and terrible. And I understand people are going to think this is insane, but this is how I deal with things. Okay, so the reason I did not show her message, the one saying, I understand you feeling guilty, blah, 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 that message I didn't show because I didn't want to show her saying, I'm trying to hold on to whatever pieces of my life I have left. Because I didn't want to out that because it's kind of sad, but I fucking outed everything else, so I don't know what the fuck I was thinking of. Well,
obviously that's just not true what you're saying. You're just saying that because that's literally it. You're just saying that. Probably because it hurts your narrative, and you're just trying to like desperately look for a fucking excuse here.
Looking back on it, the way I pieced that video together, that was just not it. That was just not fucking it. And I hate that.
That was just not it. Guys, okay. This little silly thing is just not it. It's just like a silly thing, and it's really just not it, guys. Am I right, LMAO?
Because that was the complete opposite of what I wanted. The complete fucking opposite of what I had wanted. Me crying in this video to Kayla is not me rescinding the fact that I was pressured into shit.
In regards to the fact that because I am bisexual and in a hetero relationship with Kayla, she has told me it's okay for me to seek sexual...
Daniel was the one that said that. He was the one that brought that up. He was the one that told me, because when he was being so fucking pushy, I was like, you are in a relationship. You are in a...
What's funny is she probably watched the entire video and then like edited out every other like thing that was said in that video.
Monogamous relationship. And he told me, no, Kayla told me because I'm bi. She said I'm allowed to explore. I'm allowed to explore with men and non-binary people. I looked him dead in the eyes and I said, Daniel, you know damn well Kayla would not consider this non-binary. You know damn well she would not...
Oh yeah, that's what she... Now I remember. That's what she had said. She teased the idea, maybe jokingly, but that Daniel having sex with her would be okay because she's technically non-binary. You know, that's basically a guy, which is not how those work. You know, you can have whatever internal feeling you want, but externally, there's obviously going to be very different. But okay.
Approve of you experimenting with this. He was the one that tried using that excuse.
I'm pretty sure she was the one who said it. So okay.
I was the one that talked him down from it. This part is complete bullshit. I didn't know she gave him permission to do that until he told me.
I have so much credibility left, guys. This part, not truth. This is not the truth.
Me and was trying to use it. This part is bullshit. There are some people
I
out there
believe
who have
you.
seen part 1, seen part 2, seen Daniel's video, seen my apology, and seen the interview, and they understand and are still believing me, and I'm so fucking grateful for that. But I also
Who's believing this person? You need to be put on a fucking list. It's insane.
understand everybody that thinks I'm a fucking lying piece of trash. I'm gonna get back to this. This is taking too long. May 15 was the last time anybody was contacted. June 19 was the day that video went up. That's over an entire month later. Me saying 7 weeks later, I realize now that was... My wording was so bad. Oh, and I admit that. Again, I stand by my trauma. I do not stand by my behavior. Oh, he's showing the money that was spent. I'm not denying he bought me stuff.
I wish I could take it all back. I wish I could take it all fucking back. It was not worth losing what we had.
Me saying I could take it all back is not me admitting to consenting. When I say it was not worth losing what we had, I meant as friends, not more than that. I'm
Bro, you wrote this guy love poetry. We don't believe anything that you're saying.
not afraid to admit that he was a very, very dear friend to me. There was a lot of things that we spoke about that I hadn't shared with
It's
anybody
weird because he's a human.
else, and that was part of why him taking advantage of me and pressuring me into things, knowing my entire history, all of my trauma, and that I had PTSD, that's part of why this fucked me up so much. Again, me saying I wish I had said no is not me saying I wish I hadn't said yes. If in this
What? What? What does that mean? What? What does that mean?
crying video, I was sobbing and saying, I wish I hadn't said yes, I wish I hadn't said yes, it would be different. But instead, all I have said is, I wish I had said no. That is not me admitting to it being consensual. Consent is something
I really have no idea what's going on at this point. What does that fucking mean?
you need consistently. If it's not an enthusiastic yes, it's a no. Just because I didn't fight, just because I didn't say no, it doesn't mean that I said yes. It does not mean that I consented. And this is something that a lot of people are just missing. It doesn't matter the history we had. What matters was the 2 moments that I am talking about. The night he pressured me into things that I didn't want, and the day he pressured me into things that I didn't want. The fluff around it is not important.
I'm getting fucking dumb as hell watching this.
Okay, I understand now that how much I reached out to Kayla was weird and
I can't believe she rewatched this and thought this was a good video to put out.
fucked up, and I should have left it alone. It was not right, and I understand that, and I apologize. And the way that I worded things in that first video, oh my god, I don't think I've gotten to my apologies yet in this video. So, Kayla, I am genuinely so fucking sorry for the amount of hurt that there
Kayla, I am still leveraging false accusations against your future husband. I am so fucking sorry. I am so fucking sorry.
has been in this entire thing.
I am so sorry.
For years.
Believe me,
Genuinely,
I
I
am
was
so
fighting
sorry.
for you. And then
Genuinely,
afterwards, I thought I was
super
still
sorry.
fighting for you, but I realized I should have just pissed off and left you alone, and I apologize for that. So yes, I was apologizing, and I was reaching out, and I shouldn't have done it. But I have not once admitted to consenting to what he did. Okay, before this starts, I would like to reiterate the fact that this video, a conversation about manipulation, consent, and assault,
It's not about Daniel.
was a general conversation video
Oh, yeah, I
that I just
believe
wanted
that.
to talk to
Oh, yeah.
my community about. This exact clip he is talking
What community? You don't have a community. What are you talking about? What the fuck is she on about?
about here, I never once said was about my personal experience. This segment of the video was me talking about situations in general. And that's what I
Okay, go harder.
need people to understand. In that video, a conversation about manipulation, consent, and assault, only a smidgen of it was me giving my personal experience. The rest of the video was just in general.
Yeah, this is not true. We've already watched that in the other video.
That's why it's called a conversation about manipulation, consent, and assault. It wasn't called what happened to me. It's different. The scenario I'm
Well, yeah, it's called plausible deniability language. That's obviously what that was. You fucking goofy.
talking about here is not what happened between me and Daniel. This was just me talking in general, and he was assuming I was talking about him. Like, there are parts in that video where I was sharing a personal experience, but this part was the part where I was just talking in general. So him using
Yeah, you can't be talking in general chat, guys. You gotta talk in trade chat.
this is
Because I'm an
irrelevant
idiot.
because I wasn't talking about him at this time.
We make the person
I wasn't talking about
feel
him.
as though-
Okay, I want to address my use of the word assault in this video. I would like to, again, reiterate the fact that I never said this video was about Daniel, and I had zero intention
You described the exact scenario of Daniel, but okay.
on anybody knowing that the video was about Daniel, because there was not a single person that was following me that knew I had gone to Vegas with Daniel. There was literally like 2 people in my life who knew I was going on that trip with a friend. I genuinely did not think he was going to see this or watch this. I did
You had just sent him your psychopathic ravings to his like girlfriend and to him after you guys had stopped engaging with the behavior you were engaging in. Of course you thought he was going to see this.
Did not think anybody who clicked on this would think about him at all whatsoever. If you read the comments from like before this blew up from years ago, there is not a single person in the comments who thinks it's about anybody. Every discussion was just people talking about their own experiences or just things in general. I had zero intention on this being about Daniel publicly in any way, shape, or form. It was like first thing in the morning, I just got out of the shower. Of course, my thoughts are not completely coherent and not thought through. I didn't run it.
Wow, you just got out of the shower, you didn't have coherent thoughts. Gotcha. So everything is... So the video is actually fine, but also you weren't having coherent thoughts. So it's like really not your fault, even if it is not good. What?
By a lawyer. I didn't run it by anyone. It was just a conversation. Obviously, looking back on it now, I would not use the word assault, which was why in video number 1, I never said Daniel assaulted me, and I never said Daniel raped me. In that segment of the video, I was not talking about him. I was talking in general. And then fast forward to the other week when I woke up one day and had a great idea to come forward because I thought I was doing a good thing. I am not retracting my statement that Daniel Greene pressured me into things that I did not want, that we had agreed beforehand would not happen, while he was pretty much sober. He was either like sober or sober with a little edible in his stomach that had not yet kicked in. You can either say, okay, Naomi was on 40 and he was sober, or you can say Naomi was on 50 and he was on 10. It just entirely depends on whether or not you count the edible we shared when he arrived. In that first video, I realize now it was worded terribly. It was put together terribly. If I was going to tell you anything, I should have told you everything from the get-go in chronological order, and I realize now that the way I did it was so fucked up. And the way I have behaved since then is also fucked up. I stand by my trauma. I do not stand by my behavior.
How many times is she going to say that? Are we rewatching the video like 8 times? Like what's happening?
Genuinely did not think that I was accusing him of rape. Like genuinely. I specifically
Yes, you did.
Only used the word pressure to describe what he did to me. I never at any point said Daniel Greene raped me. I never at any point said Daniel Greene assaulted me. In the video that I made about Daniel Greene, what I said was that he pressured me into things that I did not want. What I said was that I repeatedly tried to talk him out of it. I never said in that video...
You keep saying it was non-consensual. That is sexual assault. So.
That I told him to stop. I never said that I told him no. I never said that I fought him off. And I thought that was the thing I was supposed to do, but I realized that from the way I described it, the way I made that video, the way that I was recounting the events, the way that I was crying and sobbing, I want to let you know that all of those tears were real. All of them were real. That panic attack was real. I cannot fake that. But I am not admitting to falsely accusing him. I genuinely did not mean to do that in that video. And then when I started to get all the outpour of...
This whole video up until this point is her falsely accusing him. What the fuck?
Messages. And when I started to see what people were saying to him, I realized that I'd said it wrong and that everybody was taking it as a rape accusation. And so I threw together that manic-ass part 2 to try to give you a little bit more insight into, the history and what had happened. And while I stand by trying to clear the air, I do not stand by the way that I did it, because I realize now that that was not the way to do it. And then it got flagged by YouTube and got taken down. Because a lot of people seem to think I took those videos down.
Well, it got flagged by YouTube because she was being a fucking weirdo. And she literally was like, I have so much trauma associated with that night with Daniel. And then she goes and stimulates the sex that she had with Daniel, and it's like, oh, you don't really seem very traumatized there, bud.
Out of shame or regret, I didn't. Part 2 got flagged by YouTube. Part 1 I took down because without part 2, it looks like I'm accusing him of rape, and I didn't mean that. If part 2 was still up, I would have left part 1 up. But because part 2 got taken down, I needed to take
I very highly doubt that.
Down part 1 because people were getting the wrong message from it, and I'm not blaming other people. I realized the way I worded it and the way I said it and the way I shared that story was fucking... I didn't mean for it to come off that way, genuinely. Genuinely. There were some people who noticed that I never said that he raped me. There are some people who did notice that I wasn't accusing him of raping me in that video. But most people took it that way. Also, can I just say, I did not mean for anybody to lose their livelihood when I posted that video. In that video, I said, I do not want this to blow up. And I meant that. I thought it was going to be some under the radar, that Tumblr post didn't blow up, but I guess it wasn't on YouTube. I didn't mean for it to blow up.
Wait, so you're just talking about how you posted it multiple times, but you didn't expect it to blow up? Does that make sense to anybody? No? Okay.
I did not mean for him to be harassed and given death threats. As soon as day 1, I did not mean for people to go after Kayla and harass her. I hate where this has gone, and it is not at all where I intended for it to go. It breaks my heart that that is now being taken as a rape accusation, and that now it's harder for people to come forward about the things that they've been through. I genuinely did not mean for that video to be a rape accusation. It wasn't for accusing him of raping me. That wasn't the point of the video, and I did it all wrong. So I made part 2 to try to explain to people that it wasn't as rapey as they thought it had been. But then that just started a whole new shit show. I genuinely thought that people were going to be far more critical of me from day 1. I didn't expect people to rally behind me as quickly as they did. I did not
Yes, you did. Well, you wanted. That's what you wanted. It doesn't matter what you expected. That was obviously the desired goal. was for people to rally around you and talk about how you were like this ultimate victim.
Expect that video to blow up. I did not expect people to turn against him. I knew he had a very loyal fan base. I thought they were going to be critical of me from day one, and instead, I wasn't on the internet that day because I was fully convinced that I was going to be getting hate all day. And then one of my friends was like, dude, have you seen? And then they informed me that hundreds of people were leaving his Discord. Hundreds, if not thousands of people were calling him a rapist. I didn't want that to happen.
I find this so funny because if he does go along with a lawsuit, this makes it look they don't have to do as much legwork, because part of the like a defamation lawsuit would be to prove some kind of a damage. But if she's sitting here and she's going, yeah, you know, when that happened, I saw that people were mass exiting his community. That's crazy. She's acknowledging that that was the negative outcome. And so now all they have to do is say, like, Your Honor, they literally are admitting that they saw that they were having a negative impact based on these false allegations they presented.
I didn't want that to happen. I didn't mean that to happen. I genuinely didn't think that I was accusing him of rape, but I realized the way I did it, the way I said it, it was all wrong. When I came forward, I knew that every last sordid detail about my life would be aired to the public. Daniel seems to think that I thought he didn't have those videos anymore. He is incorrect. I knew he had everything. I knew he had our messages, my letters, my songs, the
I'm pretty sure she was confident that he didn't.
videos. I knew he had everything. So please think about it logically. It makes no sense for me to falsely accuse somebody who I know has everything. It makes no
So by that logic, I must have been a real accusation, guys.
logical sense. I stand to gain nothing from falsely accusing a man who I know can publicly destroy me. I knew he had everything. I sent him
Yeah, but it's really the bigger issue is that you wanted him to privately destroy you, and it just didn't seem to be that good. So
everything.
it's kinda
I know
sad
people
stuff
hold on
for
to
you, I
things.
guess.
And the fact that he had sent me a cease and desist, and the fact that his lawyer had told me they were in possession of our messages, made it very clear to me that they were in possession of our messages. I did not come forward thinking he had nothing. I came forward knowing he had everything.
Wait,
And yet
go
I
there?
still did it because I thought I was doing a good thing. I thought I was protecting people from getting hurt. And instead I just hurt thousands of people because I fucking worded that first video so wrong. I did not mean to accuse him of rape. I did not mean for that video to
You've been doing it the entire time in this video.
become a
What?
blown up rape accusation. If I had been accusing him of rape, I would have put that in the title, and I would have given you trigger warnings. Okay, this is another thing that pisses me off about myself. The fact that I didn't give trigger warnings on that video horrifies me. I forced thousands of survivors to relive their trauma without giving them a heads up, and I think that was one of the major things I did wrong, because I forced people to live through their trauma. And
You don't think that like lying about it was a major thing that you did wrong? You know, casting doubt on actual survivors of assault. You don't think that was the wrong part? No? Okay.
so it was so easy to not notice me only refer to it as pressure. I realize now that the way I said it was terrible, the way I structured that video was terrible, the way I triggered the fuck out of people without giving them a heads up was terrible. And that was part of why I released part 2 so quickly. I realized that part 1 was being taken wrong, and I wanted to explain that. I wanted to show more of what had happened in the context. I did not mean for it to be a rape accusation. I didn't use that word. I am so fucking sorry. I am so sorry. I thought I was protecting people. And now, because it wasn't rape, which I never
She thought she was protecting people with her false accusations, guys. Give her a break.
said that it was, now I am being called a false accuser. There are some people out there who I have seen saying, I did not see Naomi accuse him of rape, but I understand that most people saw it that way. And I just kept making it worse, and all I do is keep making it worse. I am so sorry to Kayla for all of this shit that I've put you through, and I'm sorry for Daniel. I didn't mean to accuse you of rape. I was just talking about how you pressure
Dude, this whole video is her constantly accusing him of rape, and she's like, sorry, Daniel, for accusing you of rape. What the fuck is going on in this woman's goddamn head?
me into things that I didn't want. I specifically never said that Daniel raped me. I do not take the word rape lightly. In
What
fact,
the
normally
fuck?
when I talk about it, I call it the R word. I would
Wow,
never
incredible.
falsely accuse somebody
I don't think I've ever seen her say the R word ever at all in any of the videos.
of rape. Never. Trust me, false accusers, I hate false accusers. So the fact that
Wow,
this
so
is how
base.
this has gone is devastating to me. I never meant to accuse him of rape. I fucking didn't. I feel fucking terrible that that was a takeaway because of the survivors. The fact that I have now made it more difficult for people to be believed when they come forward is devastating to me.
that's so
That was the
devastating.
last thing that I wanted. The last thing I would ever want.
That's so devastating, Queen.
Me coming forward was me attempting to have people believe more. Because at that time, at least, I believed it wasn't just me. It was me and somebody else. But again, I'm not accusing him of rape. I never did. I never did. But I understand that that's how that video was taken. My heart breaks for the survivors that I have let down. Trust me, I was reading your comments. And my heart was breaking, and it still is. The worst part out of all of this for me is that I have hurt survivors. I went into this knowing that all of my dirty laundry would be aired.
Hey, but at least she didn't hurt Big Brothers, am I right, guys?
I knew that it would be. I was airing my own dirty laundry before
I feel like this video is just on loop. Am I the only person who feels that way? Like this whole video just seems like it's on loop. It's like on repeat over and over again. We're hearing the same talking points over and over again.
Daniel did. I knew he had the messages. I knew he had the texts. I knew he had the photos. I knew he had the videos. I knew he had everything. And yet I still came forward because I thought I was helping people. Please keep that in mind. I stand to gain nothing from falsely accusing a man who I know can and will destroy me.
I like that. There's like the insinuation that like he could just destroy her whether he's right or wrong. That's the funny part about this whole thing. She's just constantly trying to like suggest things like that.
I came forward. I said that he pressured me into things that I didn't want. I personally did not call him a rapist. I personally did not say that he raped me.
That is what you're saying there.
I thought his fans would be more critical of me. I thought they would not jump ship as quickly as they
Dude, how many times is she gonna fucking say the same thing over and over again?
did. I did not mean for everything to explode the way that they did, and I'm so sorry that that is what happened. I am sorry to every single sexual assault survivor that I let down from doing this. It was not my intent. I did not mean to accuse him of rape. I did not mean to do that. I promise you. I thought I was choosing my words well. I thought that sticking to the word pressure was the right thing to do, but I realize now that I should have specifically said, I'm not accusing him of raping me. I thought I was being smart with my words, and clearly I was not. Oh my god. I want to summarize some things. 1, I am not admitting to falsely accusing Daniel Greene of rape. I never meant to do that, and I'm so fucking sorry that that was how it went. 2, I am not retracting my statement that Daniel Greene pressured me into things that I did not want, and we had previously discussed and agreed would not happen. 3, yes, there was history between us, but having prior history with somebody does not equate consent in the present or in the future. 4, me wanting to buy lube was me trying to reclaim, yes, I looked up a sex store. Yes, I wanted to go buy some things. He had already taken advantage of me, talked me into things that I didn't want, and come all over me when I never fucking wanted it to begin with. I had a handful of hours left to try to reclaim what had happened, but I wasn't allowed to, because if I ever wanted it, he didn't. 5, the wording of that video was fucking terrible. Fucking terrible. I should have told you everything in chronological order with every last sort of detail if I was going to tell you anything at all. And I realized that, and I'm so fucking sorry with the way that was worded and understood and taken, and like, I should have worded it better, and I feel so fucking terrible that I didn't. His behavior was not okay, but neither has my behavior been over the last week. I thought I wasn't accusing him of rape in that first video, but clearly that's how
she knew what she was doing.
Was taken. I thought I was clearing the air in the second video, but I just made things worse. And then I posted an apology video, and then 24 hours later, I posted an interview. And I know that I'm behaving manic. I know it, and I know that there are many, many, many people speculating.
She's manic, guys. It's not her fault. She got a little upset when with everything going on, so she just got manic, and she's like, "Ah, man, I'm going to start, apologizing for these accusations, and then I'm going to double down on them again." Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
That I'm having a manic episode. I don't want to blame mental health, but because people are all
You literally just did. You just blamed mental health. What are you talking about?
already throwing the words out there, I thought I would let you know what it is that I am diagnosed with.
I don't give a fuck, honestly, at all about anything that you have going on.
I'm diagnosed bipolar 1.
I don't give a shit.
And I am seeing my psychiatrist again.
I don't care.
And over the last
What are you fucking them when you say that? You're seeing them? Are you having sex with your psychiatrist? Because I wouldn't doubt that.
2 weeks, I have barely eaten. I have barely slept.
don't
and
care.
I have been in this constant state
Do
of
not care.
feeling wired. So
Good.
for all of you that are calling
Don't
me
care.
fucking unwell and psychotic and going through something, you are right. Posting and taking down and posting and taking down and making and filming and editing and posting and taking down, it is unhinged, unwell behavior, and I know that, and I am seeking help.
She's got to make sure she covers all bases. He actually did rape me. Here are a bunch of reasons why. You guys took this out of context. I'm sorry I didn't communicate very well. Also, I'm mentally unwell. Got to cover all the bases, guys.
Thought that the more I released, the more I would explain, and I was fucking wrong. I am not posting this video to try to
You're doing that in this video, though. That's the problem.
explain myself to the people who already hate me. I am posting this video because there are a handful of people out there who understand, and I'm not leaving them with a vague bullshit 3-minute apology that makes it seem like I'm admitting to falsely accusing. No, I never said that. I never said that in that apology. This video is for the few people who fucking understand the nuance of this shit.
That understand the nuance. And if you don't understand the nuance, you're just a stupid little guy.
It's for the few people who want at least a few questions answered before I fuck off and disappear. I thought that video was just going to start like a discussion about consent and like pressuring people into things, but instead it came off like a fucking rape accusation, and everybody
Because that's what it was.
was calling him a rapist. I never said that he raped me. Please.
Oh my
Well, I can't
goodness.
tell you to watch that video from start to finish because I took it down, but like, if you watch it from start to finish, I never said Daniel Greene raped me.
You took it down, but okay.
All I ever said was that Daniel Greene pressured me into things, but I know for every survivor that I just triggered, I understand that hearing me describe what he did sounded like rape. There was no
You don't understand what her version of nuance is? For her, nuance is, it just means that you're stupid. It means you're too stupid to understand what she's actually trying to say. That's what she means by nuance.
nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do to make it better. I do not regret trying to come forward for the right reasons. I do not regret that. But I thought I was doing the right thing. For those of you that have managed to watch this entire thing, I thank you. I thought I was doing a good thing, and instead, all I have done is hurt people, and all I did was hurt survivors of sexual violence, and that is the part that breaks me. That is the part that breaks me the
So
most.
sad, Queen.
I want
So
to apologize to every single one of Daniel's fans and friends who jumped ship immediately. People were crying. People were crying. I didn't mean for it to explode the way that it did. I promise you. I promise you. And no matter what history he and I had, he promised me nothing was going to happen. Even if he genuinely thinks that I was sober, I still tried to talk him out of it. He still pushed me over and shoved his tongue in my mouth. He still tried to stick his penis in me repeatedly, and I still pushed his penis away repeatedly. Even if he thought I was sober, all of that is garbage behavior on his part. Especially because he knew every last detail of my previous trauma. Those tears, that panic attack were completely 100% real. I was not faking that. And I understand that to some people, what he did to me in Vegas is insulting, but to me, it was incredibly fucking real. And there are a handful of people out there who are SA survivors who feel seen by this entire story from me, who have been
Bro, I'm fucking survivor of this video essay. This is crazy.
sending me messages saying, I still believe you. I've seen every video. I have seen his video, and I still stand behind you that what he did was wrong. I am so thankful for those people. I'm so thankful for people who are looking
I'm not. Those people are fucking morons.
at this from a neutral lens.
If they even exist.
I hope I have answered some questions in this video, and I hope I have made it very clear to survivors of sexual assault that I did not mean to hurt you. I did not want to hurt you. That is the last thing I have ever wanted, and the fact that it is now harder for people to come forward devastates the shit out of me. I stand behind
Dude, how many times are we gonna hear this fucking same talking point getting chattered over and over again?
standing up for yourself. I stand behind refusing to be silenced. I stand behind coming forward because you genuinely think that you're going to be helping other people. What I do not stand behind is the way I handled it over the last 2 weeks and how fucking manic I have been.
Dude, she said this like 1,000 fucking times. I don't understand why she just continuously repeats this over and over again.
Making videos, posting videos, taking them down, editing. This is now apology video number 13. I am sorry to every single person that I have hurt in this. It was not my intention. I am so sorry.
Okay, cool. Thank God that's over.